Thank you so much, Lenka. Hi, everyone who's watching on Facebook Live and maybe who watches this back. Thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be here this evening. How are you? Because it's been a really, really bizarre few days, kind of 10 days in my world of communication. And when Lenka reached out to me and said there's lots of people in Cambridge and surrounding areas who are running small businesses that might need some tips on crisis comms, I thought, yeah, that's a really good point. A lot of businesses right now probably are in a really similar situation. So I'm here. I'm more than happy to hopefully try and help you. So just a couple of little bit background on me really as sort of to why I'm here. I'm a communication professional by trade. A lot of my background has been in the public sector and mainly in the emergency services. So crisis for me is sort of every day. Other people's sort of extraordinary becomes my ordinary. But in more recent years, I've moved into the world of consultancy and also focusing much more on operational workforces. So workforces around safety and those sorts of things. So crisis is something that I have a lot of experience in, but I do appreciate that working in a public sector organisation or even a big business is very, very different to working in a small business. So in the current crisis that we're in right now, I thought it might be handy to give you all a few little tips and tricks. Sorry, I'm just going to shut up my Skype that's trying to talk to me. I thought it might be helpful to give you all some tips and tricks and some real basics around crisis communication in this environment that you can take, whether you are a sole trader, whether all you are is a small business with a Facebook page, or maybe if you're a business with 20, 30, 40 employees. So let's go. 3 big tips from me that I really want to talk about. And if all you do is listen to this webinar for the next 5 minutes, please take these things away from you. The first one, your communication absolutely must be timely. So let's take last night, for example. The Prime Minister addresses the nation. A lot of businesses, a lot of organisations had prepared some communication ahead of that happening because they had a gut instinct, or they sort of knew the direction that we were going in, and they prepared something. Now you can flex it and change it, but what that enabled them to do was to get something out, whether it was on their Facebook page, whether it was in a bulletin to staff, whether it was an Instagram post or a marketing email to clients. It enabled them to get something out quickly and timely. Now, I just want to build on this because timeliness is really, really important. It must be truthful and it must be factual. And that's my second top tip. What you need to put out needs to be right and correct for your business. So don't put something out because you want to be quick, but actually then 12 hours later you go and backtrack on it. That's why it's really, really important to plan. And that's my third tip. So timeliness, factual, and plan it. Now people say to me, you can't plan a crisis. Well, I completely disagree. We can all see the direction that COVID-19 is going in, and as communicators, we can try and plan. Let's talk a little bit about planning right now. So we can preempt and plan messaging like what we saw yesterday evening and think, right, okay, he might go this way, he might go that way. What am I going to say to my customers if he's going to take route A? What am I going to say to my customers if he's going to take route B? Okay, so you can roughly plan, but let's think about this in a bigger world, a bigger environment. Planning how we're going to run our business in right now. You know, I've done some work previously with businesses around their actual business continuity and their planning in crisis. So what is your business plan? You know, what are you going to do? Are you going to be able to continue to create artwork but not be able to post it out? Are you going to be able to take on commissions during this time? Or are you going to be able to run and function because you've got no employees? So I guess really understanding your business plan and ensuring that your communication plan directly aligns with what your business plan is. I guess that's kind of relevant for all business, whether we're in crisis or out crisis. So that's really, really important. So that's when we're looking at planning. Now, the timeliness, let's build the timeliness into that. Boris Johnson's announcement was last night, and you're a business. If you still haven't put any communication out, I think you probably need to if you feel like it directly impacts you. And the reason that I say that around timeliness is that people are searching for information, and people are bombarded with so much around them that you don't want to be one of those that they've got to search for. You want them to be able to just find it when they need it and shut it off when they don't. So putting it out there in a timely manner is really, really important. I just here on the timeliness want to touch, if you're a small business with employees, it is so important that your communication goes to them before it goes out externally on your Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever it is. Your employees, whether you've got 5 or 50, need to hear it from you before they see it on Instagram. And that's really, really important. When we're looking at communication as a profession, we know the most recent research, which is I won't bore you with the detail, but it's the Edelman Trust Barometer, shows that employees trust their employers more than they trust the media. So that's quite interesting. So in times like this, timeliness from an employer in communicating in a crisis to employees is really, really important. So just think about that. You know, I'm sure you won't mind me saying, but my partner is part of a small business, and last night, within 20-25 minutes of that announcement from Boris, he'd had a telephone call from the director of his small company that employs less than 20 people to say, unfortunately, we won't be opening tomorrow. So it's that sort of approach, whether it's an email, a text message, a telephone call, that's really, really important with the timeliness of your communication internally. And just remember, internal before external. Tell the dog, tick it off. And then if you're the only employee, at least you've told someone, and then you can do your external. And we talked about factual. During times of crisis, it's very, very easy for things to become exacerbated, for situations to become overreacted, and we don't know where the right information is and where the wrong information is. Your communication needs to stick to the fact. I'm not saying it can't have emotion in it. It absolutely can, and we'll come on to that in a minute, which is my super, super final tip. But it needs to be factual. So based on last night's announcement, we are going to X, Y, A, B, C, and really set it out clearly for people. I have had so many emails in my marketing inbox, as I'm sure you have as well, from Asda, John Lewis, all of them writing reams and reams and reams of information. And actually right now I'm at the point where I'm on a little bit on information overload. I just want to know if you're open or closed, if I'm going to get my delivery or not, and try and understand what that means for me. To stick to the facts. You can put emotion at the top, you can put emotion at the bottom, but stick to those facts in the middle. And try and write, and this is some real basic comms advice for you that you can apply, not just in crisis, but in any time. Try and write in short, simple, and concise sentences. Try not to make them what my English teacher used to say at school, long and flowery, but try and make it short and concise. And that way, if you're communicating across a whole range of different audiences, range of different languages, range of different social etiquettes, hopefully they'll be able to understand your message. So 3 top tips in crisis comms: planning, timely, and factual. Now, my big bonus tip that I just really want to touch on here, and we can build on this, is your comms needs to be human. So bearing in mind all that I've said, we know, and you'd have seen it, if you're connected on social, which you are because you're watching this, the comms that gets out there that really makes your heart warm, that really brings a tear to your eye, are the images, the videos, and the words that connect with people. Putting people at the heart of your communication is absolutely encouraged in a crisis. There's a time for it and a time not for it. For example, if your shop was burning down, it's probably not right now the time to do that. But when we're looking at this long, what we call a protracted crisis, to be human in your communication, to think about your planning and think about where you can be human along that stream of planning. So for example, if you were to put out some really clear comms to say that your business is closed or your business premises are closed but you're available for online, this is what you can deliver right now. That's your factual, that's your timely in response to the situation. And then maybe a couple of days later, you want to share a picture of you working from home, or you want to share a picture of your team on a Zoom call all together to say, hi, here at the Willingham Fruit Company, make that up, that's just where I live, it's not a real company, don't search it. We're all here and we're working hard. Or likewise, if you're not able to work. So being human and putting people at the heart of your communication is really, really important. And it's also really, really important when you're coming on to a bit of mitigation and a bit of reputation management. If, for example, because of the situation, you're not able to fulfill orders or you've got unhappy customers, if you've been able to be human and put people at the heart of your communication, you're much more likely to build a rapport with some of those people that you're trying to satisfy or mitigate as well. So those are my top tips. I've got a few other things that I can carry on talking about, but I'd be keen, Lenka, if we've got any questions, to get on and answer them.
Yes, I've just seen a question from Jemima. Jemima says that as a photographer, I won't be able to do my main job, which means taking photos and bringing people to a studio or going to location. But she would like to offer what she can do is from home is editing and maybe some additional social media support. So she's asking, how does she communicate that now she has a new service available without actually coming across as silly?
Jemima, you raised such a really interesting point, because sort of exploitation of crisis is really hard, right? And what we don't want to do is for people to come across as like, you're pushing. It's like the companies that are maxing out on hand sanitizer right now, £20 a bottle. That's ridiculous. You don't want that to come across. Okay, so let's think about this. Let's think about what we've just talked about stuff being timely. And it needs to land at the right time. It needs to be factual, and it needs to be human as well. So the fact is, you are unable to deliver the service that you normally are well known, reputable, and people love what you do. Brackets, just read the reviews, right? You're unable to deliver that right now because you are protecting yourself, you are protecting your clients, and you're protecting the NHS. Good job. So in these circumstances, you would like to provide an additional service. These are also skill sets that may be the unseen side of a photographer's world. So I guess maybe what I'd do if I were you is take a soft approach, and this might be a slow burner, but take a soft approach to start to show people your behind the scenes work with your photography. Start telling stories on your Instagram of how you build photos on your Mac or whatever it is you use, and how you create your videos in Premiere Pro, and start to show people that side. Soften them into some of your techniques and stuff through telling stories and through being human about it. And then in a timely way, potentially, it might take up to a week or so, then say, hey, actually, I've been looking at this and I could offer this service to you guys. Like, what do you think? And put it out to people that way. That could be quite a soft way of doing it. I do appreciate people have mortgages to pay and kids to feed. So you might be like, I need to do this now. I guess my advice would be to make it land, taking a softer storytelling approach, using your skills to do that and highlighting your skills, and then throwing it back out to your customers. Hey, have you found this stuff interesting? Did you know I can also provide this? And then landing it that way, and then maybe follow that up on a build with some marketing emails. I think things are going to settle down. Personally, I feel right now sending out more marketing emails about, hey, I can do this, people don't want to see. People want to see like free things and giveaways, you know, stuff that's going to boost them and pick them up, and nice videos and things to make you smile. Be the person to make someone smile for the day, and continue to build your base that way, and show off your skill set would be my advice. I hope that's helpful, Jemima.
This is perfect, and it kind of leads me to the question that I'm getting a lot, which is my clients and the community asking about what content is now appropriate to put out there. Obviously, the people I'm working with and the people following me, they do know how to have a plan. They plan their social media content in advance, and they have different themes and different buckets to keep variety. But often people now are afraid to put anything out there. They don't know what is appropriate, what's not. So aside from the actual announcements that are really factual and talking about, yes, we are unable to deliver and so on, when we're looking at the additional content ideas they might have already planned or they might be looking at, what would you advise for them to still continue sharing? And what would be the things to potentially avoid sharing, maybe pause and save for later, in terms of what content would you recommend people to start sharing on their social media aside from the main announcements?
Great, brilliant question. Okay, so our best practice when we have a crisis in a business, big style, is you cancel everything that you've got planned. All those scheduled tweets, all those scheduled Facebooks, all those national week of or national day of, all of that stuff, you cancel, you stop, and you make a new plan. So if you haven't done already and you're still sending out your normal stuff, that would absolutely be my first tip, is just stop, cancel. Why? Because it's not relevant, it's not going to land, and it's just pointless. You're wasting potentially good content. So that's definitely what you shouldn't be posting, is business as usual. We've talked about being human, and I guess that is a lot of the conversation right now. So when we're in this point of, we're not quite in, you know, we talk about incidents in different stages, early stages, dynamic stages, recovery, post-recovery. We're still in the dynamic stages of this incident. And when you're in, and this all sounds really operational, but trust me, it's completely connected. When you're in these stages, it's about sharing things that are relevant to what people are talking about. And that would be my advice for you. What are you doing in your community, in your business community, in your local community, or in your international community to help and support? People want to know. People genuinely do want to know right now. And so business with a purpose, going off on a bit of a tangent, businesses having a purpose and having a social purpose is now more important than ever before. I'm seeing it here locally in and around Cambridge and Cambridgeshire, the stuff that businesses are doing to help out the NHS, to help out emergency services, to help out councils in the villages, setting up hubs. People want to see that. That's now, as a generational trend, is what we want to see. So if you as a business can appreciate, understand, and connect with that, then people will want to see that content that is safe, that is appropriate, and that would potentially also help increase your reputation as well. Because let's be honest, you know, we've got to feed PR into this as well. But if we build on that a little bit, and we build on that story, at what point can you start talking solely business again? That's almost when we move into more of the what we call the recovery phase. Now, with COVID-19, I've got absolutely no idea when that's going to be. I feel like right now, and for sure, it's not now, and it's probably not tomorrow. As these strong changes continue to come from government, that's when is not the time to be posting sort of regular content. The one thing I would say about your regular content and stuff that you've got planned is hold it, save it, don't waste it. during times of crisis, as a public relations professional, now's the best time to get out the bad news, but it is not the good time to get out the non-crisis related good news. If you put a great news story out that's not related right now to COVID-19, it's going to get lost, and potentially your followers aren't going to be interested in it. Now, some people might say, I'm sick of seeing all the COVID-19 stuff. I mean, I challenge, are they really sick of it? Because we continue to look at it and it continues to be the highest trending thing on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. So I'm not sure we're quite there yet, but when people do become sick of it, so that's normally when the announcements have stopped coming out or plateau into this new world of working, that's when I think you need to start thinking about what your social plan is around your business. So that's when I think you need to start thinking, okay, what does post COVID-19 look like for me? We've done the announcement, we've done a little bit of human selfie snapping, now what? And it is about adapting to that environment around you. What can you now post that is the new world for you? There probably will come a time in maybe 2 to 3 weeks as we settle down into this where we can start looking at a more normal way of working. So, is it National Smile Day and all the rest of it? But it is about choosing appropriately what is right at the time. So I think a lot of social listening needs to happen right now from businesses. Look at what's out there, look at what gets a positive response, and look at what doesn't get a positive response. And that will hopefully give you a bit of guidance, as following the rules is getting a positive response, for example, and not following the rules is not working right now. So we have to sort of socially listen to understand as and when that shift changes. So that would probably be my advice. Sort of follow through the incident with those phases, be appropriate with your comms, and your gut. I know this is really unscientific, but your gut will tell you at what point it's right to start posting some of that more normal content.
Perfect, thank you. And we literally had two pretty similar questions where people asked what type of content to post, and if it's not overwhelming to people, if we keep talking about a situation, as well as if it's posting as normal, even for businesses who are related. Potentially they have well-being, nutrition, health related content. Also what to post for businesses who have absolutely nothing to do with it. So I think you've covered everything perfectly, and the questions came pretty much at the same time. So Tana and Ali, hopefully we've answered your questions. If you have any follow-up questions, please leave them in the comments. For everyone else as well, if you have more questions, please keep them coming. Jemima said, amazing, thank you. I'm making people smile about creating people 3D printed jewelry, which is exciting, and it's a new thing and definitely will make people smile. And there's a question, social listening tools, any recommendations?
Oh God, Lenka, I mean, come on, you're more of an expert than me. Have you got any recommendations?
For small businesses, I would say Google Alerts and having social listening implemented in your social media scheduling tools. So be it if you're using Hootsuite or any of these tools, you can often set up searches and listening in there, as well as the basic social listening is just watch your mentions, watch people tagging you, commenting on you, DMing you, and make sure that you reply to every single inquiry. For bigger companies, if you have a bigger budget, there is an amazing company like Talkwalker, but they have a very robust, huge tool. But something in between, I haven't found a tool that would be something in between the free versions of what pretty much any tool can do and this huge one. So my recommendation would just make sure that you watch your mentions, you watch your notifications, your DMs, and you respond to everything. You respond timely. And you really take the time to be human and really listen to the people, and that you potentially have set up some Google alerts for mentions of your company and stuff like that.
I'd just add on that is imitation is the best form of flattery. If you have companies that are similar to you, or, you know, say you're a small clothing brand and you love Jules clothing, for example, look at what they're doing and look at what people are saying on their Instagram posts, or what they're tweeting about, or what their conversations are, or what their most common questions are from customers. And then reflect on yourself and think, oh, is that something I could do? Or think, oh, I haven't posted that yet. Should I? If they're, you know, if I want their customers, think of it in that sense, maybe I should be looking to act in that way. So sometimes if you see someone doing something, it's you know, it's a great thing is to try and do something really, really similar. It's also good if you are a small business or just working by yourself, you don't maybe have that support network of a room of colleagues or people, so you can almost like use that as like checklist and be like, oh, I haven't done that, or I've done that and I've done more things than that, or, you know, so just work in that environment. One more thing that's just come to me, I'm aware, sorry, length of questions are coming in, but people, one of the questions that came in was around sort of if you work in an industry that could be directly related to this, like well-being. If you are one of those businesses that works in an environment that can benefit right now, the absolutely best thing, and your accountant would not tell you to do this, but the absolutely best thing you can do right now for your reputation is do that for free. So I know businesses that are doing stuff for free for NHS staff, when it's safe to do so, that are doing massively heavy discounts. There's fruit being donated to Adam Brooks Hospital by companies and all these sorts of things. So if you have a service that could be offered right now, then I guess the sort of social purpose plea, and if you look as a small company into your vision and your values and what it is that you stand for, would be, can you offer anything? Because that will get you feeling like you're really contributing to this, but people will also respond really, really positively to it. So just have a think about that, and if you can do it.
Fantastic. I just seen a message from our community manager Tana, who said in terms of the social listening tools that she would recommend Meltwater, which is a great tool but also paid, and recommending Microsoft Dynamics 360. So for those of you looking to check out some new tools, then Talkwalker, Meltwater, or Microsoft Dynamics 360 might be the tools to check out for social listening. Another question is, I'm volunteering at a local homeless charity. What would you say would be good content to post for this kind of organization? That's coming from Jonathan.
Wow. Firstly, thank you for volunteering and for being such an amazing person. It's like it's really hard. It's almost like a gold mine, isn't it? Because actually you have got content that will tick all of those boxes. You know, it will be factual, it will be timely, but more than anything, it will be human and it will be connected, and people will want to see it. So if we talk really, really tactical right now, content that works really, really well during a crisis is visual content. So it is pictures of, it sort of goes from one extreme to the other. So it's pictures of big things and pictures of the minutiae. So if, for example, we were to take COVID-19 as an example, you know, it would be seeing A&E full of people, as some of the images we've been seeing in Italy of those rows and rows and rows of people laying that big picture. And then visually, the next thing is a lone doctor sitting there with their hands in their head, because they're the kind of things that are really going to move people to get them to understand the situation. Now, a picture paints 1,000 words, and as a wordsmith, it pains me to say that, but it is true. So I guess as a homeless charity, let's think about the facts. What are your facts? You know, the homeless people are particularly hard to protect and shield, and I know that there have been a lot of national lines around that. I have seen that story. I used to work up in Manchester, and I know up there they've already started talking about the homeless community and how they are so high risk right now. So there are facts around that. So you can use fact with a visual of emotion. that might be a good way to start your content. You know, the fact is there are X number of homeless people on the streets unprotected from COVID-19 right now. We need your help. You know, and that's the most important thing. Is there a call to action? And that's what I'd be saying. You know, what is your key message? What is your call to action? If your call to action is that you need towels, hand sanitizer, and clean underwear, because that's what people, I don't know if that's what it is, then make sure that that's clear. But maybe a fact, then with a visual that's emotive, could work potentially well. And I think also, you know, I don't just specialize. I don't specialize at all in social media anymore. You know, my communication is wide and broad, but the way the algorithms work and the way everything works these days, you know, we know it's all about those first 30 minutes and how important they are, and then the shareability. So it's really, really important that with that content, you are being really targeted on what you do. So don't scattergun everything. Almost think of it in your, if we're talking about your volunteering in a homeless shelter, almost think about it as, you know, what is the one thing I want to try and achieve on social media this week or this month? Is it to increase donations? Is it to tell homeless people that we're here to help them? Understand what that one thing is, and try and make sure that message is consistent. So your visual might change, whether it's a visual image of someone or of a short video, a little interview of someone who's come into the shelter, an interview of someone about how they feel right now, how vulnerable they feel, or how your shelter's been able to help them if it's funding that you're after. And then build on, keep the call to action the same, but keep the visual different. I hope that helps.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And talking about kind of the visuals, obviously we know that video is so powerful. So I wanted to know, what do you think about kind of the role of video in the messaging right now, where lots of people will record videos to send in their emails instead of just a pure copy? What are your thoughts in terms of, should we all go to video, or would you have any reserves in terms of how should we utilize this now more than ever powerful tool?
So I think it's about clickability, isn't it? So if, for example, you're sending a marketing email out, or you're communicating with your customers by email, I don't think video works, because people have got to click onto it. So, you know, you've got to take one step away. If you're putting something directly on Facebook or directly on Instagram, then yeah, I think it does work. Also, if you have the capabilities of sending text messages in your business or SMS, then actually a video does work. We know that a lot of people with video don't like the sound. So I would encourage people to subtitle if they can, if they've got the skills and the technology to do that. It's relatively straightforward, and you can sort of use Google subtitles, YouTube subtitles as well, because we know people like to read as well as, they just like to do the visual and not necessarily have the audio. So yes, I think video is relevant, but again, I think you have to come back to the why and understand what your audience is doing. So is your audience, is your audience 15 to 21-year-old women who are keen runners and enthusiastic, outdoors people? You need to know your audience, and that's really, really important in all of your comms. So really think about, I, for example, know my mum does love a video, but my mum's 69, and actually a video will bombard her, or overwhelm her. She wants to read the information. So I do think there's a balance between having key messages written, whether that's in a social post over a period of social, and video. Now, looking at video is a really useful tool, using graphics within a video, and it's so simple, people. And I mean, I'm sure you've covered this off in various other sessions with Lenka and in your community, but you can just turn a PowerPoint slide into a JPEG and shovel those in one after the other, and let a video, and there you go, a video has been created. So if you wanted to make a video of your key messages, like, our business loves its community, we're continuing to trade and support our NHS, we're continuing to provide, XYZ, and you didn't have any imagery to go with it, but you thought, my audience does want video on my Instagram channel, then you can create really simple JPEG images on PowerPoint and have the words with your logo, maybe with a splash of something, and just play them, you know, into a small video. So it doesn't always need to have people at the heart of it. Obviously, emotive, engaging comms will do that, but there is also a place for video. I've seen the government use some really, really short, snappy videos with the COVID-19 hand washing stuff. That there's no, it's all graphics. You know, it's not people. So there are different uses of it. So in a dynamic stage of a crisis, when we are communicating, we are trying to reach potentially a wide variety of people, which means that one of our first things that we might do is we might send a text, create an infographic, create a video, do an email, and a like just a written post. So sometimes, you know, if you're still in that announcement stage, or, you know, customers, we're very sorry, everyone will get a full refund, as an example, that might be where you say, right, I'm just going to hit every single tactic that I've got. But as you evolve your content, that might be where you need to be more selective in your tactic choice.
Fantastic, thank you. I think we have time for one more question. So if anyone has any questions, please leave them in the comments. I have one more question, and I just seen Chrissy bug logging in, and I think it will be something in Chrissy's wheelhouse as well. And the question is more around engagement and community management. So how would you suggest people keep their social media engagement high, or how they can grow it? Is it by asking questions, starting conversation, but at the same time still keeping it appropriate?
Yeah, so I think engagement is really, really important, and we haven't actually come onto it, but I did write it down in my notes, is that if people are asking questions of you, it's absolutely important that you reply to every single one of them, and have a conversation. And if you can, don't take it off your page or the thread or the Instagram post, and don't put it into DM. That's actually my recommendation, especially if someone's really disgruntled. Try and have the conversation openly and honestly with them. If they're like, I can't believe that you've stopped producing this, how dare you, you know, and you're sort of like, there's a global pandemic here, guys. Have that conversation politely, factually, personally, in public, because the more that we do that engagement, the more and more that that conversation is going to be bumped up and bumped up and bumped up with the numbers and the stats, and the more people are going to see that you're a human being trying to run a business, and that's really, really important. So yeah, I guess my tip is absolutely categorically to make sure that you're responding to those questions. Now, I guess in terms of getting your engagement up, again, we need to think about that content. And right now, we don't all want to be grabbing for gold. Of course not. And that's like, you know, let's think about what we just talked about. We talked about social purpose. We talked about being human. We talked about not cashing in on the crisis. So you need to make sure that your content is relevant to that. Now, I've seen quite a few businesses sharing content about how they're helping the community. So that could be something. And I've seen also businesses try and act in community spirit. So how can I help our community? And asking questions like that to their audiences, so that they come across as not only engaged in this crisis and wanting to help, but actually what they do has been born out of the community that they're serving. And normally, you probably would have thought of the idea anyway, right? Let's be honest. If this is business, you will have thought of the idea about what your business can do. Sometimes opening it out and asking your community, what do you think I can do in this situation? What services do you think I can offer? Could be a good way of then, you know, you said, we did. We use that a lot in internal comms. You said this, we did this. Well, already we actually had the idea and we had the whole plan and everything behind it. But because we feel like it's been organically grown, people are more bought in. They're more likely to share it, more likely to get on board with it. So do continue to ask questions. Don't forget as well, you've got a lot of people right now sitting at home, really, really bored, killing their husbands, trying to not murder their children. Their dogs are driving them crazy and everything else. So let's not miss out on that fact. Can you create something, deliver something free, whether it's a maths workshop, I keep using fruit company because there's a fantastic fruit company in Cambridge that I've just seen on my LinkedIn. That if you can create, I don't know, say you're a computer firm and you can create something around an IT worksheet that parents can download. There are thousands of parents right now all around that are desperate for any way out. What can you do to help them? Maybe that's a question that you can ask people, but provide them. So I think it's around questions. I think it's around providing what people need and what people need and want right now to keep their to help keep your engagement high.
Oh, fantastic. And we just got a comment from Jemima who said, you've given me a great idea. So I'm very curious to know what Jemima's idea is, and hopefully we will see that very soon. Emma said, this was so useful. Thanks so much. I'm sorry to miss the last bit. Thank you. So I wanted to say a huge thank you. Super helpful, very interesting. So many great tips and tricks. And if you're watching on a replay and you have any questions and you didn't get to ask, just leave them in comments. We will see if we can answer them, and if we can't answer them, we will ask Leanne, and she will hopefully, when she has time, message us back. So we will definitely get back to you. And I just wanted to say that we have more events like this, kind of quick, even though we've run 50 minutes, so it's not as quick, but there is all the time that we have right now. So I wanted to give as much time to Leanne and to your questions as possible. But we will have more kind of half-an-hour videos on a weekly basis with experts, be it about communication and crisis, a little bit more about managing this current situation, as well as overall social media tips and tricks and strategies as well. So I want to say a huge thank you to Leanne, and a huge thank you to all of you watching. We have about 20 people watching now. So that's great that we have so many of you joining us live. And I'm so happy that the technology actually worked in here, because we had a little bit of a bubbles at the beginning. We have a couple more comments. Jemima said it's to do with a fruit company. So we'll see what that's happening. Mary says, thanks for the insights and advice. And Tim said, thanks, Leanne and Lenka. So I want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And I will try to figure out how to actually end this stream after I very complicatedly managed to start a stream. But again, if you have any questions, then leave them in the comments of this video and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you so much and have a nice evening. Bye.